So real quick, we talked about the activity on page 209. What we talked about yesterday, you can see the video from that. Then I gave you another activity to work on, page 218. It's called Who Wrote the Federalist Papers? There's 12 disputed. You can read through it. Probably does a better job explaining it than I did. So then there's the kind of directions. Choose 5 words at random. Find the average, then use technology to come up with those 5 words, and then we'll have a discussion of what we see. Okay? All right. So today we're going to include some of the best things that we can do. All right. Now, the first thing that we're going to look at today is something called a stratified random sample. Okay. Stratified random sample. All right. Now, the nice thing about stratified random sample is we take populations, okay, of similar characteristics. So, an easy way to say this is um, uh, high schools classified as 5A in Idaho. Okay, so that's going to be our population. Now, can you imagine if we were to actually go through all those students and actually try to do a survey with them, right? Have you ever done drugs? Have you ever smoked weed? How often do you smoke weed? Everything like that. So when we start doing those type of questions, it's more ideal to actually break that down, because a lot of times you're going to get people who are just going to give you false answers. We're going to talk about that tomorrow as well. Okay. They don't want to seem uncool, so they're going to give you, when they see you, like say Bradley, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, I smoke weed like every 2 days," or whatever, right? They're going to give you the answer that you think that they want you to give. That's why when they go to people, when they do their exit polling from when they go voting, that's when people sometimes will just give you a non-true response. Okay, they'll just come up and lie to you because that's what they think you should have. So an example would be, who did you vote for? Well, Trump is so polarizing, and that a lot of times people will say, "Well, I voted for his competition," right? Around here, since the majority of the people are so conservative, they're going to say, "Well, I voted for Trump," even though they may have voted for Biden, because it is such a conservative state. And so it's important to kind of weigh those into it. All right. Now, the great thing is that we're going to take this population, we're going to break it down into something called our stratum. And this is just going to be a smaller subset. Okay, so I could sit there and say, I want to take, and in the 5A, I'm going to talk to 50 seniors, right? Or 50 students from each of the classes, seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, right? I'm going to break it up into a smaller subset, okay? And then that smaller subset, I'm going to do a SRS, okay? But the key aspect is that the stratified, the population has to have that similar characteristic. Okay, are they from 5A? You could even break it down. Are they rural area? The crazy thing is that the state of Idaho classifies Idaho Falls High School as an inner city school. Mm-hmm. You didn't know that, did you? Yeah, we're classified as inner city. We're ghetto. Oh yeah, but compared to everything else, that's not too far off. Okay. Some of the examples we could use is we could do geographic area, geographical. So we could say, let's sit there. We could say close to a body of water. Um, we could even say people that are close within a certain radius of a nuclear reactor. Okay. Um, it would be interesting to do a survey or some type of experiment or data collection of people who have been close to, say, forest fire, wildfires. What's going to happen with that? What kind of range are we looking at with that one? Okay, and some of the things that they've done to prevent maybe their house from getting burned, or did they lose everything? And just kind of work through that. So our advantage, we really need the individuals, subjects, whatever we're working with, um, are similar. Okay. Oh, that's a horrible word. Measured. So the advantages, the individuals and subjects are similar with respect to what is being measured. What that's going to allow us to do is comparable to cross nation. Okay. We've got to keep it as similar as we can. That way we're not limiting ourselves to regions. Okay. So we can actually kind of tie it across. Now, one of the things that they work with this is education, right? Is they group into students into age brackets. Okay. And then we can say, hey, we're going to run an experiment in Idaho. We're going to run an experiment in Texas. We're going to run an experiment in London of 16-year-olds who whatever. And we're going to see if this new program works or what we're looking at. And it's going to specify exactly what we're looking at. And that way we can apply it saying, hey, we had students from here, here, and here. Here's their data report. This is what we combined it to be. And it's going to be kind of uh, uh, a collection of what we see. Okay. And I think it's pretty neat that you can do that. And then after time, it just does come up to be actual truth. Okay. Sometimes, most of the time. All right. So uh, the other thing that you're going to do today, not today, but your activity, right, is you're going to talk about sunflowers. There really isn't any. Uh, yeah, the only disadvantage would be if you don't have similar subjects, then your data is gonna be skewed. I thought that was kind of obvious. Um, you got to have similarity to compare it. That's the only disadvantage is if you don't have your similarity, you're not going to have your true data. Okay. All right. So your activity is going to be sampling sunflowers. All right. So basically what's going to happen is there is a sunflower garden or farm, and they harvest all their sunflowers. 6, 7. All right. And we're trying to determine how healthy their crop is going to be, and if we can make a good prediction of how well it's going to turn out. Okay. Now, this actually goes to A, B, C, D, all the way to J. Okay. And then this goes all the way down to 10. So I'm going to come up here and say 7 dot 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 10. Okay. And so you're going to have how many squares are in here? 10 times 10? 100. That's right. 100 squares. Okay. So your first one, and again, the directions are in there. you're going to find 10 random squares. Okay? And I would suggest just using your calculator. Honestly, it's just going to be easier. Okay? So then what's going to happen is it's going to say, so if you count, say 1, and you count all the way this way to 10, and then 11 through whatever, and you just keep counting, right? That's how you're going to find your 10 squares. So then you're going to record its location. So let's say I got this location here. So then I would write, it's kind of like Battleship, C2, right? You guys played Battleship, please? Okay. Phew. All right. So you're going to record 10 times. All right. Next is we're going to take our stratum as rows. Okay. So we're going to start with rows like this. And then you're going to want to just use a random integer, 1 through 10. Okay. And so then, so like on row 1, I got D, right? Because it was the 1, 2, 3, fourth one over. Okay. So then I would go to keep up with the same thing. I would go D4. And I do that how many times? 10 times. But I would do it once per row. Okay. So once per row. Now, when you do this one, what can you do about what would you find out about this 10 random? Would it be possible to get all A's? It's a possibility. Is it probable? No. Okay. Is it possible that you're going to get selections from 2 rows or 2 columns? Okay. Is it possible that you're going to get some from the same row? Yeah. Okay. So number 1, you can be on the same row and on the same column. Okay. Then your third one is you're going to do your stratum as your column. And again, I would just do the random integer. So we do random integer, and then we would do the same thing. And then you're going to do once per column. And then I need you to report the mean of your 10 points in each of those things, okay? But you're asking yourself, how do I find the mean of the said plots, right? I'm going to pause this real quick. Okay, so with the time frame we had left, I just wrote this down for us. This is talking about clusters, which is similar to a stratified random sample. The main difference is that we're just classifying a group of people in the population, okay? So we're taking this population and we're classifying it into different groups, kind of like the freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. So then once we've done that, we've broken them into clusters, which is our 4 classes that we have up here. Then once we have those 4 clusters, we're going to do a simple random sample. You could use all individuals in your sample depending on the size of your groups or your clusters, excuse me. But it's really, it might not be worth the time, okay? So you got to remember that the cluster is often used to save money and time. It works best when this cluster is very similar to the population and the cluster is smaller than the population. So then it's going to offer more variability, just like your population. Your population is going to have both low and high extremes, right? And so that these points could be pulling your data the direction that they're at, okay? And you're going to see that more with your clustering grouping, okay? And then the other thing is, it's usually chosen because how easy it is to get your different groups, okay? All right, have a good day. Thank you.